Starr 103.5 FM.
It's 12 o'clock. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Starr Midday News. And coming up in the bulletin, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin indefinitely adjourns the House again, citing a lack of agenda for members to discuss and failure of the NPP group to show up despite triggering the process.
Knowing the challenges we are facing, it is not advisable to be adjourning from day to day. And so I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely, and the meeting, this extraordinary meeting, is accordingly adjourned.
Well, the NDC group says their counterparts on the NPP side are abusing the recall process.
I am deeply worried and deeply concerned that the very people that requested for Parliament to be recalled failed to show up. Clearly, what we are seeing here is an abuse of the Constitution and the standing orders of Ghana's Parliament.
Meanwhile, NPP MP for Adansia Sokwa Katie Hammond says the NPP side will cite the Speaker for contempt for disregarding the Supreme Court's ruling.
And that this is what the law is. That you cannot make the decision, the proclamation that you made. I call it preaching because you say he's a king, he's whatever, he's a lord unto himself. But you made a ruling.
Later in the bulletin, mixed reactions greet unveiling of a statue in honor of President Akufo-Addo in the Western region. For what the Western Regional Minister says is President Akufo-Addo's contribution to infrastructural development in the region.
Akufo, for example, he didn't do statue because even though he did well, but Akufo-Addo's own, some will say it's okay, but some will say it's not okay.
Oh, Akufo-Addo don't deserve there or the statue will be before because of a great man, or a penny also.
And on the campaign trail, the largest opposition party, the NDC, justifies its decision to reject the final certified voters register, insisting the EC must provide the summary of the voter statistics. Details of these stories and many more, including sport and what is trending on social media, all coming up shortly. Stay tuned in. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. You're welcome once again to the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM. If you are listening to us across the world, you are on starfm.com.gh. My name is Tettey. Let's get into the details of our stories now, and the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has indefinitely adjourned the House again, citing a lack of agenda for members to discuss. Now, this decision follows the Business Committee's failure to convene and prepare the necessary agenda for parliamentary deliberations. The session, which was called by the governing New Patriotic Party, the NPP caucus in Parliament, had been intended to address several pressing matters. However, the absence of the NPP caucus members in the chamber halted proceedings, prompting the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, to express his disappointment. Now, the latest adjournment comes against a backdrop of ongoing tensions between the NPP and NDC caucuses following the declaration of 4 seats vacant, which have eventually disrupted parliamentary proceedings in recent weeks. Now, in his remarks in Parliament, he emphasized that without contributions from the committee and a clear agenda, the session could not continue as expected.
I don't know because I don't control that.
Sincere apologies for that wrong inset. We'll bring you that sound shortly in the bulletin. This is still the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Let's hear from Speaker Alban Bagbin.
Definitely, the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore matters that they wanted us to handle, which are admitted for the consideration of the business committee, are not on the order paper, and in fact there's no order paper for today because the business committee could not meet due to the absence of the people who requested for the recall. And as you can see, one side of the House is completely empty. In view of this, we have, as usual, got a quorum to sit, but we have no business before us to transact, because the business committee, as you know, they prepare a report, and this report is adopted by the House as business agreed by the House to transact during the course of the week. In the absence of that, there is no other authority that can put business before you which you have not adopted to transact. In view of the failure of the business committee to sit, as a result of the refusal of those who requested for the recall to show up, we are compelled to once again adjourn the sitting of the House. Knowing the challenges we are facing, it is not advisable to be adjourning from day to day. And so I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely. And the meeting, this extraordinary meeting, is accordingly adjourned.
So that is the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kisford Bagbin, indefinitely adjourning the House there. Let's go over the telephone line and speak to our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Ibrahim Alassan. Ibrahim, so the Speaker says that there was no business to discuss because the business committee could not meet. Also, the people who triggered the process were not in the House. As a result, lack of business to discuss, he's had to adjourn the House indefinitely. What has been the reaction so far?
Now it's valid again. So we had to adjourn
the House again, yes.
Definitely again. Yes, and that's exactly what the expectation of some MPs that are engaged before the sitting was. Alexander Kwame Afenyomakin, the leader of the majority MPP caucus, has explained as to why his side did not show up at the plenary, and he's speaking. But of course, I can relate to you exactly what he's saying. That his side inquired from the speaker as to whether he gave the NDC caucus the permission to sit to the right side of his seat, and especially given the fact that Speaker had said that he's not the one to determine where each of the caucuses was set. And again, according to Alexander Kwame Afenyomakin, his inquiry to the Speaker revealed that Speaker had not pronounced the NDC as majority, and so therefore they were curious as to why the NDC had decided to occupy the right-hand side of the Speaker. As a result, they decided to stay out of the chamber until there's a finality to that move by the NDC caucus to occupy the right side of the Speaker. And so that's one. He's yet to attend to the issue of yesterday, a scheduled meeting of the business committee, of which he is part, and that did not take place to determine the agenda for today, a reason why Speaker mentioned that sitting cannot continue. He's just touched on that. Again, the way forward, as to whether Article 1123 will be triggered again, per what the NDC MPs have engaged from Samuel Kuta Blakwa to Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim, they say that the only business that the NDC is willing to attend to, NDC in Parliament, will be the expenditure in lieu of appropriation. And that will ensure that this government is able to spend for the first 3 months of next year, because that approval will come from the Parliament to give the President the legal authority to spend from the Consolidated Fund, even after the expiration of the last Appropriation Act. And so, Alexander Kwame Afenyomakin is still on his feet, explaining, first of all, why we are here and where we go next. From all indications, now.
But where exactly is he doing the explanation?
Well, so if you know Parliament very well, you will know the very main entrance to Parliament. In between the main entrance to Parliament, there is a fountain, of course, that comes up ceremoniously every now and then. It is off now because there is no activity here in Parliament. So on the steps that will lead you to the main entrance of Parliament, that's where there's a podium that has been mounted, where the majority leader is up.
So they were not in the chamber, but they are addressing the press in relation to why they were not there.
Exactly so.
All right, thank you very much. Definitely we'll bring those updates to our listeners in the course of the bulletin. But their counterpart on the NDC side, it's their leader, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen. He's accusing their NPP side of abusing the recall process.
I personally called the committee clerk, and I was informed that she's out of the jurisdiction and no one has reached out to him, to her, to program the business of the day. I was worried and reached out also to the MPP side and to have an indication as to what their plan is. No one responded. I am deeply worried and deeply concerned that the very people that requested for Parliament to be recalled failed to show up. Clearly, what we are seeing here is an abuse of the Constitution and the standing orders of Ghana's Parliament. The NPP minority caucus have indeed caused financial loss to the state and to us, the NDC members of Parliament, and to the people of Ghana. We say this because these recalls cost Ghana money. This is not the first time that they have done this. They've done this a couple of times, but we see nothing than disrespect. We call on the people of Ghana to see the behavior of the NPP and punish them accordingly. They have certainly, everything shows that the NPP are tired, they are fed up, and they are not ready to work for the people. They are ready for the people. They are bereft of ideas, and they are short of vision. They cannot solve the suffering of the people. All what they do out there during campaigns, in spite of the hardship, is to sing and dance Osisifia. That's all what they do. In times like this, when the ordinary Ghanaian is struggling to survive, they are dancing and singing Osisifia.
You had the leader of the NDC group in Parliament, Dr. Kasia Lato Forsen, former minority leader Harun Idris, who has also been wading into this particular development in Parliament. He says that the NPP set a bad precedent when the then Speaker, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, ruled for the Fomena seat to be declared vacant.
I think it's important that we recognize as a country that the three co-equal organs of government perform distinct and separate functions and must respect the mandate, power, and authority of the other. The matter before us may border on constitutional interpretation depending upon who invokes the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. But clearly, what is before us, given precedent, is a matter under Article 99 of the Constitution, which in my view strongly belongs to the High Court as a forum on whether or not to declare a seat vacant or not vacant. But those of you who have studied Article 97 well, you must read the text well. It is only when the ordinary common sense meaning leads to absurdity that you look for their secondary meaning. I do not see how the text in Article 97 can be compromised. More importantly, many of you will recall that when I had the rare opportunity to lead the minority, I kept warning then President Akufo-Addo and Professor Michael Quay as Speaker that watch the President will set and watch the consequences of the President will set. This is a consequence of a president.
So that is the former minority leader, Harun Idrisu. Let's now go live and listen to a press conference being addressed by the leader of the MPP caucus in Parliament, Afenyomaa King.
A motion. Which motion now will require a ruling? You see, Speaker is setting the country on fire. Yesterday, we were disappointed with his non-reconciliatory posture during this press conference. Indeed, we, the majority caucus, call on Mr. Speaker one more time to demonstrate statesmanship. We want Mr. Speaker to know that although we were not happy on the day he was elected, some of our colleagues perhaps has seen something good in him. It wasn't the NDC that put him there for him to do the bidding of the NDC. Perhaps people felt that he could be someone who will bring all of us together. Yes. There are things that we cannot say into the camera. But Mr. Speaker is hurting democracy. Yes. What Mr. Speaker is doing is to rehearse what the NDC is likely to do should they lose power, to bring chaos, to cause confusion. How can Mr. Speaker say that he respects the Constitution, but he will not subject himself to the dictate of the judiciary? How can you say that the judiciary is in collusion, is colliding with the president, and you mention the president as a person, as an individual? How? What Mr. Speaker is doing is in bad faith. First of all, he subjected himself to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And after losing at the Supreme Court, he turns around to attack the Supreme Court. His own lawyer, my respected senior Thaddeus Sorry, in court, argued forcefully that Mr. Speaker made a ruling. And he sought to justify the so-called ruling and even challenge the jurisdiction of the court in entertaining my application. For him, the matter comes under Article 99 of the Constitution and not under Article 197. 97 G and H of the Constitution. To the NDC lawyer, to the Speaker's lawyer, who had received firm instructions from the Speaker, the position of the Speaker was home and dry, was on all fours right. and that Mr. Speaker had ruled, and that those members could not come to Parliament. Again, he had emphasized that the right forum was the High Court. Yes. All these points canvassed by Mr. Speaker's lawyer were overruled. The matter was heard in the full glare of the public. There was a live broadcast of the Supreme Court proceedings of that day. The ruling of the Supreme Court has been procured by me as plaintiff. The Supreme Court bailiff has served the ruling, the second ruling, on Mr. Speaker. His lawyers were given up to 3rd of November to file their written submissions, statements of case in defense, if any. So what are all these, perhaps I call it ex cathedra statement of Speaker, creating an impression as though those statements he's making are an authority on their own. It cannot be. A true Democrat will respect the rule of law.
Yes.
And that is why we decided to respect him. You know, ladies and gentlemen of the press, NPP, our tradition is to respect rule of law. It's out of deference to Mr. Speaker. That is why we did not enter the chamber. That we should share in that chaos theater with them. Never. Never. We will not. MPP will not. We will not. Therefore, don't be swayed by their lies and their propaganda. The chaos they started is what they want to end. We will not allow that. We believe that we have to win the elections right at the polling station and would go and work. Right now, what the NDC has done, basically, are the following. One, they don't want Ghanaians that would be on account, appropriation on account. It's a constitutional requirement. So that is what they want. They want to stampede it. Two, they want to, again, create a certain impression that Ghana is lawless. Ghana is not lawless. We will not allow them to give a wrong impression to the international community. We will respect the law. Three, all these businessmen, you know, their fear is that under the 1D, 1F, these companies are going to create jobs. These companies will employ people. So their fear is that should these be addressed, it will mean that all their propaganda of unemployment would fall flat. So further to frustrate businessmen and drive them away. Are these Democrats?
No.
Now,
FM. Star 103.5 FM.
Frustrate businessmen and drive them away. Are these Democrats?
No.
Now, there are important things to do. We have the free SHS bill, which is before Parliament. Their main aim is to conspire with Mr. Speaker to prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And in an unlikely situation where they see the light of day in the election, cancel it. That, oh, after all, there's no law backing it. Their main target is the free SHS bill. That is why there was a pre-announcement of its laying in Parliament, and you remember how they fought against it. So it's an opportunity for them to, as it were, prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And if they succeed in doing that, to them, in their wishful minds, in their wishful thinking, parents will get upset and then say that after all, the free SHS was not working. The free SHS has benefited many Ghanaians, in spite of the challenges. We know as a country, the reforms that have been made by two ministers, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and Dr. Yao Educhum. These two gentlemen who were assigned to superintend over the education ministry have done so well, and the outcome of their works is known to all Ghanaians. This is what the NDC want to set back. Thank you very much indeed. I would want. Okay. Now they also made some noise in the chamber. They also made, they double talk. They double talk. They do double speaking, double talking. Whenever a person lies, he fails to even be inconsistent. In the chamber, where they rushed to go and sit, and again, the clerk this morning, we pre-inspected the chamber. The clerk diligently arranged our name tags at where they were. They came and they physically removed them. And this is where, with the greatest respect and in all humility and in all modesty, my dear friends in the media, help us to shape opinion in the right way. Get the message across. They came in there and unlawfully removed our name tags, pulled their chairs to our place and sat on our seats. And Speaker, the cameras, I was watching in my office, and I'm sure you guys are set up. You set your cameras up proud to Mr. Speaker's arrival. You saw what happened. Let the Ghanaian people know. Now they said our members were not present. They claim that those, if indeed the Supreme Court had ruled, why were those members who were affected not in the chamber? Because Mr. Speaker has said nothing about them. This is what Kwame Agboja, making that point. Honorable Kwame Agboja said the members have had a favorable ruling from the Supreme Court, so they should have come. Really, if the Supreme Court ruling is being respected by them, why did they move to the right of Mr. Speaker? My respected colleague Cynthia Morrison is here. I said it in my plaint in court that she remains a member of our caucus, and she's here with us as a majority caucus. Nothing short of that. So I would want you to take note. Now, we look forward to engaging Mr. Speaker in the next few hours and days. We pray that he does the needful. If he doesn't do the needful, we will continue to rely on the law to get the right things done. The partisan politics that they are festing on us in the chamber must cease, must end. Parliament is a chamber for decent people. Parliament is a chamber for tolerant Democrats. Parliament is a chamber for people who want nation building without taking advantage of situations to score cheap political points. We will yield to these high values and high tenets of democracy. Thank you very much.
So that is the leader of the NPP group in Parliament, Alexander Kwame Afenyo Marking, responding to the developments in Parliament today. Essentially, they are accusing the Speaker of not being a statesman. They say that the Speaker is hurting the country's democracy, and ultimately it's an agenda by the NDC to end this Parliament on a chaotic note, just as they have started in relation to this particular issue. They say that they look forward to engaging the Speaker in the next few hours on in the coming days. They are hoping that the Speaker will be a statesman and listen. If it doesn't, they will resort to the law. And while he was saying that, there were a few of the members of the NPP side whispering into his ears and talking about contempt. Well, that subject of contempt, or citing the Speaker for contempt, has been equally raised or threatened by the Adansi Asokwa Member of Parliament, the NPP, Katie Hammond. Let's have a listen to him.
First, there is a ruling made by him. The ruling is been overset. You're forcing me to repeat myself so many times. The Supreme Court is spoken. We want the decision of the Supreme Court to be respected.
Speaker acknowledged
that what?
Of the Supreme Court
and that what?
2 weeks he did say that he has been served with copies of the judgment of the Supreme Court.
And so what I said, it is not a question of acknowledgement. It's a question of implementation of the decision of the Supreme Court.
But no MPs, none of the 4 MPs have been blocked. None of the 4 MPs have been blocked from coming to Parliament. None of them have come in here and they've been blocked from accessing the Chamber of Parliament.
You are not listening. You are not listening. I think I'm going to have to say this for the last time because it looks like some of you have become impervious to what is it. Listen to this. The Speaker made a ruling. It was unconstitutional. It was unlawful. By any account, it was illegal. The Supreme Court, contrary to the assertion by he himself and some members of the minority who keep proclaiming from high roofs and high heaven that the Parliament is a master of its own rules and regulations, the Supreme Court is told Babi and Parliament that you are not. It's not for the 4 people to simply show up. The Speaker has made a ruling barring them from coming to the Parliament. Supreme Court is reversed it. It is for the Speaker to sit up there and tell the House that his decision has been reversed, and so we
reverse if you are not seated. You say you are going to cite the Speaker for contempt.
Not properly.
I mean, you are going to.
How would the Speaker reverse his decision?
To be the interest of Ghanaians, for the Speaker to respect the ruling of the Supreme Court. Come back to this side rather than continuously
Speaker has not disrespected
he is disrespecting the ruling of the Supreme Court.
The 4 MPs have been disallowed from coming in.
You are not listening.
No, when did any of the 4 MPs come in and they were asked not to come in? Because today
so those were heated exchanges. Well, it was supposed to be an interview, but it looked like some heated exchanges there between this member of Parliament for Adanse Asokwa, Katie Hammond, with some journalists in Parliament today after the Speaker adjourned the House indefinitely again following the unavailability of a business to discuss, as well as the absence of the NPP group in Parliament. Well, subsequently, there's been an address by the NPP group in Parliament accusing the Speaker of not being a statesman and acting in quote lawlessly. It's still the Star Midday News here on Star 103.5 FM. Ideally, we should have been bringing you the campaign trail at this point in time, but we've spent an extensive amount of time on the developments in Parliament, so we'll bring you other stories, including the campaign trail. You're still here on the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Another topical issue that has been raging is in relation to a life-size statue that has been erected in the Western region in honor of President Akufo-Addo. There have been various reactions on social media and on ground as well. Let's talk about what people are saying in the Western region. Well, mixed reactions have greeted the unveiling of a statue in honor of President Akufo-Addo. Yesterday, President Akufo-Addo, in the company of the Western Regional Minister Kwabena Okyere-Darko-Mensah, unveiled the statue of himself located at an intersection near Efiankwanta. The Western Regional Minister explained that the statue erected is to recognize President Akufo-Addo's contribution to infrastructural development in the region. However, this did not go down well with critics who have said this is unnecessary at this point in time. But what do residents in the area make of it? Have a listen to the diverse views that have been shared in the wake of this, the erection of the statue.
Even though he has done a whole lot for the country, Ghana, Tettey as a whole, or Western region as a whole, but then there are some things where he couldn't fulfill his promises, where he said he'll be doing one district, one factory, one village, one dam. I think Western region haven't received ours. So the statue is quite cool, but I think it wasn't that okay for us. Because if you look at the past presidents who has come and gone, let's take Kufuor for example. He didn't do statue because even though he did well, but Akufo-Addo's own, some will say it's okay, but some will say it's not okay. Kwame Nkrumah dey go say ebisi aye say ebisu second day so am friend say but one statue dem too many there ehun hia.
Oh, Akufo-Addo do deserve there what the statue be because a great man, yeah, or a penny so. Na mo bi aso yen na adwen there or the more hammer na bibi ko buado no. Masa. Obobo dua simple.
Though I had the hospital now, we see no I had now. And this all this state will be account because any probably president be blah besin kwa nyoma mo ye na bodo no abe no kra no. Be insisted to be an kan wana se visa. We no kra na abe no kra no. And so ye ni say go man penny we see her.
So those are some reactions from the Western region. Essentially, it's a divided opinions there. There are some who believe that, yes, it's a good thing. There are others who also feel that, well, it's not necessary because there are other heads of state or president that have come that have actually done better compared to what the president is said to have done, and so they do not see it necessary. Let's go on social media. Let's find out what people are saying there as well. This is on ground. Let's see what people are saying online. I've been joined in the studio by Nanama Akwa. Nanama, what are people saying in reaction to this video, to this statue?
Well, there's a lot to be said, but obviously time will not allow to all, but we'll pick out some hot comments. We have first on Twitter, Ruby, who says he clearly doesn't need to be honored in any form for what he has led the country to right now. Sammy thinks that the man thinks he has performed so well that if care is not taken, he'll have his image on our currency. Then Ibra says it's a statue of hardship. When we move over to Facebook, Clara says Sekondi deserves better. Sani says by force statue. I know Akufo-Addo gave them money to do it. Then we have Saeed. This money can help buy stationery for deprived kids. Or then still on Facebook we have Treme, statue of corruption. Then Sak, who says as what? Worst president or what? We have Samuel, who thinks that this is wickedness. Then Emmanuel says please just look out for the umbrella on December 7th. We have also on Instagram, Kufiu says, by force hero, which of the past presidents built himself a statue? It's sad to be a Ghanaian, from cathedral to statue. When will this old man, he says, be serious? We have Ima, who says, infrastructural development bank. Come and see how bad the roads are in Western region, Sekundi Takrady to be precise. Then Enoch says, even the big six own have been destroyed. Nayu, Nana Addo. Then Sap says, this is an example of I will blow my own trumpet. Our last comment here by Abek, who says, bro, they've done absolutely nothing in Takrady. They demolished our market only to put the project on hold midway. They've blocked our roads in the name of reconstructing it, and it's also on hold. So here, there's no doubt that people are thinking the statue maybe was not, necessary.
Well, the online people clearly, it looks like they have their own opinions.
Exactly.
Compared to the on-ground people. Thank you very much, Nanama Akwa, with those details there. Specifically the reactions to the statue erected in honor of President Akufo-Addo. You're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Time now to bring you the campaign trail. Well, in some 30 days, Ghanaians will be heading to the polls to elect a president to govern the country for the next 4 years and also elect their members of parliament. A parliament that will replace the current parliament, which is looking like something that would most likely end on a similar note on which it started. The various stakeholders have been playing their respective roles. Yesterday, the Electoral Commission says that it had in record time presented the certified voters register to the various political parties. It ended with a meeting that traveled deep into the night because the NDC was demanding the statistics. We'll hear from the NDC in a bit. But before then, let's touch base with the camp of the NPP, specifically the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He is still in the Ashanti region. Today is day 4 of his 15-day tour of the stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party. Well, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he has promised to build an airport city, I beg your pardon, at Menchia North in the Ashanti region. He gets to govern the country by eventually getting the nod come December 7 when Ghanaians head to the polls. The Vice President believes the new city will boost economic activities in the area. He said this while he was addressing the electorates in Menchia North.
Bridges were airport AC high, airport city, Menchia North. Airport city, Emamo, and I to me, Enya, in Faso, Enti, Yamiadum, and Ayaba, airport city, Yabaya, airport, Mina Namidi, any Miyako negotiating with UK government, Yenya, the facility, embassy, airport, Wakumasi International Airport, any Tamale International Airport, Enti. Said airport city wa Accra no ye pese airport city e wo Kumasi ha e beda Menchia e North ha mutuma mi anyame adom met me the president e fie watwe mesamba habium abebu akunta akire mo ejuma maye ejuma din amamo mum promote me na me nkoye president of the Republic of Ghana mum mami promotion mum first year no mami Monfastiano, mami, Monfastiano, mami, Namikikano Neko.
That is the Vice President and flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. In simple translation, he says that give him the steer so that he will drive this country to the right destination. You know when he says that, oh Fastiane Mami, it reminds me of then candidate Kufuado. He says Mumpiame, Kikim on the snow. So this time around, Dr. Mahmoud says, give him the seer. Let's check what is happening with the camp of the NDC. Well, they are dealing with issues related to the Electoral Commission. In fact, the largest opposition party, the NDC, they have justified their decision to reject the final certified voters register provided by the Electoral Commission. The party yesterday returned the drive containing the register to the EC. According to the NDC, failure by the election management body to provide summary of voter statistics is an irregularity. The Electoral Commission has already asked for more time to release the voter statistics. It is equally saying that it is not obliged to provide those to the parties as well. Let's hear from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Adukwe Mensah.
If you request that you want a summary, that's fine. But this is something we've been doing since time immemorial. And we've not added summaries to it. And this is not the first time. In 2019, we gave out the soft copy of the register. In 2020, we gave out the soft copy of the register. In 2023, we gave out the soft copy of the register. And it did not have a summary. So the fact that there's no summary does not make it not certified. The register, as you see, as you have it, is a certified true copy of the register. If you choose to return it, that's your prerogative. You can do so. And this is a request you are making. It is not binding in law. It is not binding in law.
You heard the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Gina Dukoye-Mensah, says that it is not binding in law. It is a request they are making. While the NDC, they have vowed to ensure that the voter statistics summary is added. Here is Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. He is a Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the National Democratic Congress.
Is that how you do things? And you are saying you are holding to ransom. You held the whole media and political party for ransom here for more than 6 hours. And they are talking about it. If they don't bring the ballot statistics or the voter statistics and the summaries, we are not going to take the race.
If the summaries are ready tomorrow, will you come back?
I said that's why we're here. We're here waiting for the summaries. They promised giving us the summary. We didn't put dagger on their this neck to ask for the summary. If she knew that she was not obliged to give her the summary, she should have told us around 5 o'clock.
So have you returned the drive?
We've returned it. We have officially said we have returned the drive back to them until we get the summary. What is she talking about? I've been doing the election since 1988. I have passed through all the mills, and I know every election cycle summaries are given to us. Ballot printing, go to the ballot printing house and see whether summaries are not there. Haven't they given?
She just told us that is not the modus operandi of the commission.
I am saying that she's not the first electoral commissioner. We have dealt with commissioners before, and we had all I can provide you all summaries from 1992 up to now if you want. I have it.
You think she's deviating?
Completely. She knows the thing. How can you go to election? Now I'm asking you, what is the total registered voters for the election? You are in media, do you know? Why were you silent? Why didn't you answer?
She mentioned that
and I'm saying, why
the last election they didn't do something like that.
And so you just went to the election without knowing the total number of registered voters. Go to their website. You will see the 2020 total registered voters. As we speak now, do you have it? That is the summaries we are talking about.
So that is the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the National Democratic Congress, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. Well, that'll be it for the campaign trail here on the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. For more news, do log on to starfm.com.gh. My name is Tettey. Have a good afternoon, and thank you very much for your company.